racism in apartheid geography, in the economy and social spheres. It also finds expression in the kind of blatant racism and misogyny in social media that we've seen against Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. As a society, this must not be tolerated. And we will and must use the institutions set up to bring the perpetrators to book. On the 26th of this month, we celebrate 65 years since the adoption of the Freedom Charter, who so eloquently told us that South Africa belongs to all, black and white, that all lives matter. We also wish to make a small input on South African Airways. The Alliance welcomes progress to ensure that SAA is restructured and to emerge out of the old with a new, viable, and growing national airline. In line with the commitment made in the budget speech in February 2020, government should act unambiguously and support the restructuring and building of this new national airline. The Alliance Secretariat further resolved that everything possible must be done to urgently restore SAA operations in line with the national coronavirus lockdown regulations and the resumption of activity in the domestic aviation industry. I thank you very much. Mabe, would you please conduct the press conference? Cornelius, would you please take over? Mabe, would you kindly take over?
Thank you, DSG. Let me take over.
Thank you, Alex.
While Pule is sorting out the links. Ladies and gentlemen, from the media, the DSG has presented the statement of the Alliance Secretariat launching the framework paper of the Alliance Political Council, as well as the anti-racism campaign. Attending, we have, in addition to the Alliance Secretariat, from the Young Communist League, the ANC Youth League, the ANC Women's League. We will now take this opportunity to take questions. And questions may also be asked in the chat room. But let's take questions. I can see Clement Manatela is the first. His hand is up. Samkel Tabani is the second one. I have those two hands in the meantime. And let's welcome Clement.
All right, thank you very much, Alex. SG, thank you so much for the opportunity. I've got some questions. The first one is the first one is on the social security. So when you were speaking about this framework document, you talk about social security and the social grants. But I want to ask
my apologies. My apologies. I will ask all the comrades and participants who are not on the floor to mute their microphone so that we can have one speaker at a time. Please continue, Clement. My apologies.
No problem. Thank you, Alex. I wanted to ask, there have been calls for government to continue with the 350 unemployment grant, even post-COVID. What's the Alliance's view on that? Is that something that they support, especially given how we'll see high numbers of unemployment post this pandemic? My second question is on what the DSG said, that we don't want to see the same economy before COVID-19 to exist after COVID-19. What kind of economy do you want to see post-COVID-19 that would be different from the one that existed before COVID-19? Thank you.
Samkela?
Thank you. Samkela from the CBC. My question, one of them has been asked by Senate Minister, but more specifically about the issue of the economy. DSG, are you not speaking in the same voice of the under fire or the rebuked or commanded mayor of the when he spoke about that COVID-19, post-COVID-19, the economic landscape should be changed? How would the ANC like to see the economic landscape changed in this instance? Because you spoke against the nationalization of commodity rights of the economy. What are some of the treats of the economic landscape that you'd like to see? And then on the issue of the African Airways, the Alliance is coming and endorsing the proposed restructuring of SAA. Which social equity partners would you like to be seen to be brought on board to work and restructure SAA on an ownership pattern? Because when you speak of a new economy emerging post-COVID-19, we'd like to see a black-owned company emerging as a social equity partner to SAA. And now this is an endorsement of what the Minister of Public Enterprise, Pravin Gordhan, is doing with these public enterprises, which SAA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just before I ask the leadership to respond to the questions, let me check if there are any further hands. Those who would like to ask questions may make use of the system. Or, yeah. In the meantime, let me allow the leadership to answer the questions and hand over to Comrade Bule to facilitate the session going forward. Comrade DSG, Comrade SG, Ace Makashule, Comrade Solima Paya, Comrade Epi Jali. The questions have been asked. Please give answers.
Yeah, okay, let me start, Comrade Alice. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to members of the media. The first question regarding the supplies relief for unemployed people. The Alliance has tabled for consideration by the government a product that should be considered for all the people in the country. I think that nitty-gritties should be worked out in that. That should cover the unemployed people. So in principle, yes, we think that matter should be considered as much more strongly given the difficult challenges we have of poverty in the country. Regarding the issue, the secondary issue was also supported by Samkela, because Samkela placed it much more differently with a different connotation than the first question about what kind of an economy costs profits. We are dealing with the current, and of course, we know that COVID are not permanent. What is clear is that worldwide, the system of capitalism has failed to respond to the needs of the majority of the people. We are seeing governments intervening in different countries with stimulus packages, including what we have begun to do in our own. And I think that intervention of public money could not be public indebtedness at the expense of private capital. It should be public indebtedness for the public, meaning that we are now seeing possibly a much more stronger role of the public economy, and that should also answer the ownership of South African Airways, primarily one state institutions and invest in SAA, to own SAA, but of course to embed this on a stronger aviation industry policy for the country, because aviation now and in the future. So that's something that we must continue to look into. Otherwise, the world will continue to trade. Otherwise, reconnect, and that will require much more aviation sector. Thank you.
Comrade Hayes.
My signal is bad. Maybe you can give Comrade Becky there.
Comrade Becky. Comrade Chris Matako.
Others can ask. I think the question.
Comrade Becky, you muted yourself while you were still on the floor. Please unmute and continue.
May I come in then? Comrade Becky says he's asking others to answer. And then I think Comrade Chris will also answer. Firstly, I think we must be very clear that when we look at what has happened because of COVID-19, clearly the questions of unemployment, inequality, and poverty must tell us that we cannot go along in the same way that we've done before. And I'm very sorry that Samkelo has chosen to make this a personal matter. But the difference would be that the policies of the ANC instruct us through the Freedom Charter that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. Restructuring our economy, we are talking about including everyone in that restructuring process. Naturally, what we would like to see is that Black South Africans are the ones who are in charge of the economy itself. It is not like that now. The structure of our economy dictates that the same people who were there before 1990 are in fact the same people who have control and are in charge of the economy, and we do not have an inclusive economy. So the difference between what we're saying here and what was said by somebody individually is that we include everybody. We do not create a race-based economy only, but we do say we must de-racialize our economy, and I hope that is clear enough, Chair.
Thanks, DSG. We have a question from Sidima Dia. Okay, this is Claudia Rich. She has two questions. I will read them aloud. The first is what the Alliance sees the role of the private sector should be in the post-COVID-19 economy. Will the ANC's employees, specifically ministers, have got an available funding for SAA, given that the Department of Public Enterprises earlier this year said government could not give SAA more money? How should the restructuring be funded? That is the question from Lodi Merovich. We have another question from Sibahle. The question is directed to the ANC. There has been widespread criticism that our political leaders, especially from government, have chosen not to condemn the death of Collins Kosa, but are more vocal about George Floyd. She's asking for a comment on that criticism. Please, leadership, take over.
Comrade,
Yes,
on the issue of the Collins Kosa, I think that the ANC condemns that death, as it does any other death by the security forces. Also, let me say that the Minister of Defense, when she spoke in a press conference, did condemn the death of Collins Kosa on behalf of the government. I do think that it is correct that we should condemn all deaths that are perpetrated by any security force anywhere in the world, including in our own country.
Yes, do we still have more questions?
Yeah, could I raise my hand? Hi, everyone. Sorry.
Hi, ITD, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much. Sima from News 24. Just two very quick ones. To the ANC and the Secretariat at large, there's been lots of talk about corruption. I think you also made comments now in the time of COVID. Just you and I once spoke about councillors. Did that come up? Will there be action being taken? Are the alliance partners asking the ANC to look into what its members are doing and asking for action to be taken? And just for Kosatu, one of the conversations around things like schools, there are many concerns with the opening of many sectors. From what I can hear, Satu is still relatively unhappy about the reopening of schools. What was the conversation around that, and what needs to be taken into consideration going forward? Thank you.
Yes, can we get, before we get answers, I think some journalists are saying that their questions have not been fully answered.
Okay, let me start asking. The question by Claude funding mechanism for SAA. We have highlighted quite consistently that firstly we need a restructured airline. That part we all agree, including the fact that all aviation industry across the world are facing serious challenges given the impact of COVID-19 and lack of travel because of lockdowns of different countries and so forth. And the fact that even prior that SAA had already gone into voluntary business rescue process.
Excuse
and we've
me,
engaged
people are saying they
that
can't
process
hear
as
me.
their line for quite some time. As we know, the Minister of Finance had budgeted in his budget earlier on, it announced the program to support South African Airways. But COVID-19 complicated the process of intervention, and there's been tossing and turning around. Obviously, our call now is that government must intervene and support the restructuring of SAA, including of funding SAA. Government has given guarantees at the moment regarding the stimulus package interventions of over 200 billion to private businesses that are making maximum of 300 million rands to guarantee those through commercial banks. We do not see any reason why a similar guarantee could be given to our national airline in the space so that it's able to come a much more better structured. And that's why we are welcoming these interventions now regarding governments coming on board to restructure the airline, committed to doing that. So that process is fully supported by us. We believe the government must make appropriate finances to make sure that the airline doesn't completely collapse. I think it's also important that we are also calling for interventions, particularly regarding the meta studies raised about racism and the killings of individuals by security forces. We condemn that in the strongest terms possible. But regarding George Floyd's matter and the campaign that we are launching, we can remind South Africans that South Africa received massive solidarity internationally regarding the fight against institutionalized racism of apartheid, perhaps more than any other country in the world. And it is very important that we take our moral high ground at South Africa to continue the struggle against racism, including here at home, but also to lead the international community regarding this fight against racism. We have seen the world coming together to reject racism across the board in all parts of the continent, and that is what South Africa should actually embrace itself in, because we remain a moral force in that regard, and we should continue that struggle. And that's why the Alliance Secretariat is now launching this program from tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Do we still have any more questions? Yes, Comrade, I do have a question. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it's a move here from Sunday Drive. My question is on the Black Friday campaign. What is it exactly, practically, that the Alliance wants to achieve through this? I mean, encouraging people to wear black every Friday. I doubt much that it would achieve anything in terms of nipping in the bud the scourge of racism. You know, for instance, we all know that racism is an issue of power dynamics, especially economic power dynamics, but I haven't heard that particular analysis as to what gives rise to racism. Instead, we only hear about this Black Friday. So, it's essentially, in short, my question is, what is it that practically this Black Friday will achieve? Thank you very much.
DSG?
Comrade Pule, I would like Comrade Chris to answer that question, and I'm just pointing to you that if you open the chat and look at the emails, you will see a number of questions on the side. Thank you.
Okay, we have got another question that this one is from Kotato. It's a grade 10 teacher in Kayalami has threatened the students of facing the same ordeal that happened to Floyd in the US. Should they fail to submit their assignments on time? She said in no uncertain terms that she was going to put her knee on their necks. She has issued an apology, but how does the Alliance view this given the campaign that you are now launching? There's another one that came on the role of the private sector post-COVID-19. The ANC position is that an inclusive economy is a mixed economy with public, private, community sectors that play complementary roles. I think this was more an answer to one of the questions that were asked. There's another one, is the ANC willing to call on African heads of state to individually make public statements condemning all violence against black people on the African continent and in the diaspora, ending violence against black bodies must stand in Africa first. This is from Sidi Madia. So I'm going to leave it to the leadership of the Alliance answer the questions that have been asked. From the DSG, yes.
No, thank you very much.
Yes.
No, thank you very much. I'm just to bring the point to the other people that South Africa, for example, is the chair of the AU. And having the president of the African Congress in launching the campaign tomorrow, we are actually escalating the campaign to a higher level, which will also go in presentations and representations that will be made at the African Union. So we see this as also connecting with the role that the African Union should be playing and connecting it with our historic anti-apartheid movement that has spread the entire world in countries that are people much all over the capital cities of the world and etc. And as comrades what you were saying, we have the moral authority. Those of us who have lived through institutionalized racism, we have a responsibility to bring to bear the consequences of institutionalized racism. Part of that has to be getting the people to understand consciously what this does, and that it actually subtracts from us building a nation that coheres and building a nation that is underpinned by important pillars of the Freedom Charter and many other things that should see us through, both as a nation, as a region on the African continent, and as peoples of the world that we have to build and work.
Thank you. Yes, SG?
Yeah, maybe I can come in and say
remember what the ANC and its alliance partners are doing today. It's our long-held positions, and we are launching this campaign during the month of June, which is the Freedom Charter Month, where we respect human dignity, where we believe in equality and solidarity, and we are indeed an internationalist organization, and we believe that throughout the world we are anti-racist, and that's why the position of AU is very clear also, and we are fortunate that South Africa is chairing AU today. And so these positions are not positions we are pronouncing today. We have been holding these firm views, and we are reiterating them. And that's why we are saying things must change, the economy must change, and people must participate in the economy of South Africa. And exactly this is what we are actually going to do. And our deployees, our government ministers are part of the organization. They are not there as individuals, and they have been participating, we have been engaging, and we have actually engaged in unions. And that's how we are actually resolving problems as South Africans. And that's why we are making a call to the entire society also to unite, so that as we move forward as South Africa, everybody's on board and everybody participates in the mainstream economy.
Can I also say something from that?
Yes. Okay.
I just want to answer two questions. The first one is whether wearing black on a Friday will have an impact to the issues that were raised. We believe so. It raises a consciousness of one to associate with that structures. You're waking up on Friday and decided what to wear with the conscience, and in this case, to stand with the victims of racism. So it first talk to once as an individual, whether you want to be neutral in the struggle against racism. Not an easy decision, but when you wake up on a Friday, you decided that you are going to wear a color black. It's a conscious decision that one takes. We have taken many Fridays here in South Africa. For the Friday on the World Cup, on rugby, or the Friday on the soccer, is a conscious decision that one takes in dealing with the struggle at that time. Secondly, it shows solidarity with the victims alone, and together we stand with them. Thirdly, it sends a message to the perpetrators that what they are doing, they need to revisit and introspect their consciousness. That there are many people outside there who say their actions are not warranted in the manner they do. The second one, the question that raised about the school and readiness, then what is the view? First and foremost, a school is a workplace. There are workers who work there like any other institution that is engaged in the production, and in this case, production of knowledge. There are people who are working there. There are people whose life, if the situation is not catered for, can be put at risk. It is a responsibility of everybody, the responsibility of parents, the responsibility of teachers as workers, the responsibility of government who organize that people must come to the workplace to learn. So we're taking the tune from those frontline workers. In this case, the teachers are the first on the line of call, to be advised by them whether in their views the school is safe, that children can come there and learn without being infected with this invisible enemy. So we're taking their advice. We are hearing that some schools will be ready. We're hearing some schools were ready 2 days ago, but they meaning that school will not be ready by tomorrow if everything has to be considered. But we're watching the space. We hope everybody, for the future of the generation, because our kids are the future of the generation, that we should not or should do everything possible not to expose them to these dangers. They need to be protected by all of us. Thank you very much.
Can I please check with journalists if we still have any more questions?
Can I come in again, Leadership Bullet?
Yes.
Yes. Now, my question is on the lockdown in terms of the opinion of the Alliance. Do they support the view that says that the reaction by South Africa was exaggerated in that they had the lockdown as it were? Others believe that it was completely unnecessary. And at this point, by when one drives around, it does look that lockdown only exists in name. What is the view on of the Alliance in terms of ending the lockdown entirely, seeing that now on the streets it's as good as normal, and also in line with what I said earlier about an exaggerated reaction based on exaggerated predictions at the beginning of the pandemic. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes.
I'm from Kero again, just to get more further clarity on this issue of SAA, particularly around some of the private equity partners. Has anybody come forth to the knowledge of the alliance to government to say that they are willing to partner with government in this new national airline? And what would the ownership structure of this new airline look like? Clearly looking at the alliance standing resolution that SOCs must still be kept under the government's hands and not be given to the private sector. Thank you.
Okay. Can we have more hands? I think at some point we'll have to wrap up. If we don't have any more questions coming from the media, I will hand over to the leadership to answer the two questions that have been asked. Small follow-ups.
Comrade,
yes.
Yeah, just on the, and very briefly, just on the SAA matter, I think what some Kenya needs to appreciate is that the alliance discussions that are happening at the Western level are about the principles that are put in place. They're not necessarily about micromanaging the units and or entities, any SOE. So those are going to be dealt with by the appropriate people, including the department and others that are going to deal with it. What we were putting across are the broad frameworks that should so that we emerge with a sustainable, efficient, and efficacy-based entity that would support the developmental agenda and program of the alliance. That is our position, and I think we will not be drawn into, who's going to be the equity partner and all of those things. Also, they have to be handled by the appropriate people. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Yes. No problem.
I think Comrade Chris has responded to that question, and I accept that we still said that it will be necessary for government or the state to still be the major shareholder. Thank you.
Comrade
Pule, there's one last question from Sophia.
Yeah, and
Also, my question was not responded to about lockdown.
yes, we want to do that.
There was a question from the Sunday now.
Yes.
Please.
Can
Comrade.
we just get a
Yes.
response? Yes.
yeah.
Sorry, may I?
Yes,
Okay.
me.
Just a response about the question about the hard and soft lockdown. You know, the point that we're making in the framework document and in our media statement that there's no blueprint for any country. For example, Vietnam, the moment they heard about the cases in China, very early had a very hard lockdown on the borders. So anybody that came in, they tested, they isolated them, and that's why they have very, very few cases and no death at the moment. Other examples in other pandemics, for example, in Ebola in West Africa, what's coming out of the WHO declared a public emergency, locked down any flights from those countries. Now, it was very hard on those two countries, but it means that it didn't spread to the rest of the continent. It was contained in those areas, and it was mainly in isolated cases in other circumstances. So I think that if you look at I mean, I don't know what generated the predictions. It's predictions. Any predictions are speculative based on available science. At the time, on the 5th of March, when we had our first case, that's what science said to us, and on the basis of that, government took the decision to have the hard lockdown. If it wasn't for that, we may have had much more cases, as you can see if you look at across the world. If you look at Brazil, they're now in the hundred thousands. A couple of 2 months ago, they had very few cases. So when it comes to pandemics, it's better to err on the side of caution. That is the first point. The second point is that, as the President said when he announced that we're moving from a soft lockdown to from level 4 to level 3, is that part of the points about your first two levels is that the responsibilities of government to say that you cannot do this. Once you move towards the next level, you could individually introduce other measures. Globally, most of the deaths, 380,000 odd deaths that have occurred, happened during April and May in the flu season in the northern hemisphere. Just after the end of winter, during the flu season, going into our flu season. So we're not sure. So we're not out of the woods yet, and therefore we need to keep that public health measures in place. We have to do it in businesses. We have to do it in communities, we have to do it at workplaces, we have to do it at schools, but also secondly, we have to wear masks, we have to keep the social distance, hygienic measures, all of those things are so important that we need to have, as a media, the public health messages around these issues. The final point is that if one look at the trajectory in other countries, it's a 2-step back, often 3 steps, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. So countries have had their schools open, and then when they hit an increase in infections amongst teachers, for example, because children is much less susceptible, then they had to close the schools again. And I think that is part of what we will have to do as a country. We must maintain our alertness. We need to address those kind of public health measures that I've just spoke about, but we also need to be able to get about what as we then move towards lower levels. And government have announced these are the hot spots. Of course, what happens in Johannesburg or eThekwini or Cape Town, where rising deaths is different from an area where you have 5 infections. So we will have to maintain our alertness as we open up the economy and move towards that. The fact that we're now level 3 doesn't mean that we shouldn't go back. If, for example, we rise to the levels that other countries that have had a second spike have done, of course, that is must be kept as a possibility, because at the end of the day, it is to be able to save lives. Thank you.
Yes, can I? No, wait, something. Just allow us to give the leadership space as well to sufficiently respond to questions that have been asked. SG?
I think what Comrade Phoebe was emphasizing is that let's commend government for the good work they have done. I think our president, the president of South Africa, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, the minister, Nkosazana, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Dr. Mkhize, and the entire cabinet collective have done well in saving the lives of many South Africans. And I think we need to commend them for the good work done. But we must also commend the media, because the media, government, business, and the entire South African society has been adhering to the regulations. And that's why government indicated earlier on that we are a listening government. But remember, we are not politicizing all these things. Government has acted in the right, responsible way, because we are not like any other part which is going to make and claim this and that. Government has to act responsibly, and that's why we're making a call to all South Africans, because the letdown was necessary, it is still necessary. It is not true that millions of South Africans are still not respecting the lockdown. There are millions who are still home, who are still under lockdown. There are millions who know that this disease is a killer disease. And we want to emphasize that as South Africans, the media, everybody, let's work and work together.
No, thanks. Samkelo, there was a question that you said this is what you wanted to ask.
Yes, my question is directed to the three alliance component. I'm talking about the ANC, the Labour Federation, COSATU, and also the South African Communist Party. It is South Africa that hosted the conference against racism and all forms of intolerance some years ago, and the then president of the Republic of South Africa in Durban, President Mbeki, couldn't even go home on time to prepare for the funeral of Gov, because there was a tussle between Palestine and Israel on the final text of the UN conference. It was a UN conference. Now, my question is, looking at what is happening now, do you think South Africa has been able to provide leadership on this issue of racism and all forms of intolerance, particularly at the time where we are in the Security Council, where we have a bit of power to influence member states in the Security Council, particularly the Permanent Five, but also at a time where we are chairing the African Union? Looking at what's happening, is it not too little too late for the ruling party in South Africa to issue statements now, and the SACP and COSATU? And then the second question revolves around the World Health Organization. What is your view in terms of the work of the World Health Organization? We know that there's a push to transform the Security Council, but you look at other agencies, we are not really talking about other agencies within the UN. The current attack leveled at or directed at the Director General, Dr. Tedros. What is the ANC alliance component position on this matter, particularly SACP?
Thanks.
Okay.
Wait, sorry,
Yes.
there is something that's Austin Delaye. Sorry to.
It's chaos.
No, that's
This is
yes,
chaos.
yes. How are you? Yeah, you can go ahead.
I would like to know whether the current fiscal stimulus is sufficient in the eyes of the ANC, and whether it should be topped up at all. It currently sits at 10% of GDP. Should it be more, given that we anticipate that a lot of the fallout economically will become more visible, and that we may have a double-digit contraction?
Okay, I guess that all the alliance partners, COSATU, the party, and the ANC, they can all respond to that. May I
Comrade Pule, hello. Okay,
Yes.
on the World Health Organization, we've certainly agreed with the government that Mr. Tedros is doing a good job. The fact that one country criticizes him does not mean that the rest of the world should. And we believe that up to now, the World Health Organization has done the best it could with the available resources that it did have. Obviously, all institutions can be improved, but the WHO has done a good job. I think we are concerned, though, and we do talk consistently about the transformation of the Bretton Woods organizations, and that we have said, and it is implicit in all our documents. So that is quite clear. On the fact that we hosted racism and is it too little too late, I doubt if it is ever too little too late to talk against racism consistently in South Africa. I believe that we also do so at the UN, in Geneva and elsewhere, and I'm sure we can go through those resolutions very carefully. But it is one thing to talk about it. It is also another thing, totally differently, to actually start mobilizing. And tomorrow night, when the president speaks, we will also have as a guest Anand Sharma, who is the deputy leader of the opposition in the Indian parliament, to begin to talk about religious chauvinism that excludes people as well. So we're not just looking at this matter from a narrow base, but racism in South Africa is alive, and it is something that we need to campaign against and begin to internalize in the psyche of our nation. We are struggling with this matter, and we hope that everyone, including our friends in the media, will become a partner in this campaign. Thank you, Pule.
Thanks, DSG. Can we get more answers to the questions?
Comrade Pule, let me take the question on the stimulus.
Yes, Comrade Alex.
Yes. When the president announced the 500 billion rand stimulus, it was at that time largely a relief package. For example, there is this 200 billion rand loan guarantee scheme offered to businesses with a turnover of 300 million rand. And that package that was announced also comprises unemployment insurance fund intervention and so on. And when the announcement was made, there was a clear message that this was just a phase in a process where further assessment will be made and intervention explored. The paper that we are launching today looks at the question of domestic mobilization of funds in order to tap into these funds in a sustainable manner in the interest of the benefits of those funds, as well as in the interest of the national success in emerging from COVID-19, as well as the crisis before the COVID-19 pandemic. There is several proposals made in the document towards coming up with more interventions that are commensurate to the extent of the crisis. Shown what was announced, as well as taking into account the rate cuts, the 3 rate cuts in March, April, and May by the South African Reserve Bank, and other monetary policy operations which were intended at improving liquidity in the economy. as the Reserve Bank governor has said, it's like making policy in the dark. But there is no doubt that more interventions are required, which is why the paper being launched today looks at the question of further mobilization of funds in order to move forward. There are two key conclusions emerging from the paper. Before the first COVID-19 positive case was confirmed in South Africa, we were in a second quarter of a recession. In other words, we were in a technical recession. In the last quarter of 2019, a population of approximately 10.4 million South Africans, active and discouraged work seekers, were unemployed. Poverty was very high, inequality was very high. And as COVID-19 has brought to the fore unequal development, meaning the persistent legacy of apartheid's spatial development persisted and even made some of the interventions to fight COVID-19 difficult. When all of those are taken into consideration, plus the impact of COVID-19, it is very clear that we need more interventions, which is why we are launching this paper. And when you look at the conclusion of the paper, we are saying a second round paper will emerge out of the process taking place within the ANC, in its Economic Transformation Subcommittee, in the SACP from the Politburo, and in consulting from the Central Executive Committee, geared towards achieving an economic turnaround and driving broader social transformation. Thank you.
Thanks, Kobedalet.
Can I take a last shot?
Yes, Mobile.
I think the first thing that we need to say to the question that has been raised in regarding to racism is that all those who have experienced racism or have been impacted by racism should never get tired because they understand the pain of racism. It has to be fought at all times, and we hope it will be eradicated eventually. In our case, we may say this, that we have reduced the question of racism, that the new generation of the young kids are not aligned to the racism as they were by their forefathers. So I think we are making progress in that. Our role is to mobilize the society where people live, not by just institutionalizing it by legislation. Talk to the people and to say we are better people without racism. But it's also racism in our case is not just the question of the race between black and white, but the element of tribalism, the element of regionalism, the issues of gender discrimination and patriarchy. It has to be taken as a package, and at all times as we bring our kids to be able to indicate to them that no one benefits from this. In regard to the UN transformation, I think we agree with Comrade Jesse that every time and everywhere where we go, we are calling for the transformation of the UN system. In regard to the WHO, I think we are making a good progress, and I think the president of the US was more personal, and his attack on the racism was not only the attack on the WHO, but was an attack on the head of the institution who seems to be black. And I think many organizations stood up and in support of the WHO and the work and the good work that they are doing. So in a sense, it is too late, and it can never be too late to stand up against racism whenever it there is ugly. It's part of our long term in fighting for the recognition that we dream about. It must never stop and must never get tired to stand up and join millions of millions whenever racism is everywhere. Thank you.
Thanks, Nopala. Sure that most of the questions that have been asked have been sufficiently attended to. There was just one question from Ntebu Mukobo, posted on the chat group. Says, we understand the internationalism posture or character, but does it have to take the death of George Floyd to call for a Black Friday? Racism has been with us for years. In Limpopo, Tseko Makruha was killed and thrown into a crocodile-infested death only because he's black. Nelson Chisale was thrown into the lion's den for being black. A boy was killed mistaken for a baboon, and Mampuru in the Free State was dragged for kilometers with a tractor. Again, this scene was that he's black. But we never seen these Black Friday campaigns. Were they not black enough to deserve a Black Friday campaign? I'm not being insensitive, but these are black brothers of our blood and souls. What's the response there? And I take that this is the last question, and then from there we'll be closing the meeting.
Let me just say that every time in all these incidents that war is raised, let's just go back to the history. We were there when that man who organized the farm workers to throw that worker to the lion's den. We're there in the court proceeding. We're there in Fenterstone. There's none of these issues of this incident that whenever it happened, the society was just silent. We always mobilize with the capability that we have to raise these issues. So when you go back to the history, and each of them is being raised, you find that there was a reaction by the society to show their distasteful of this racism. And we should not get tired, as we're saying, whenever it has come up with different approaches in dealing with those issues, and mobilize the society as much as we can in dealing with those issues. Thank you.
No, thanks, Nopala. Yes,
Let me come in as well.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think I fully agree with Comrade Bacon as well as the previous pronouncement regarding our fight against racism. It's integrated completely in our programs, and all those names that Ndebwe referred to, there's been absolute condemnation from the alliance at various levels, including participating in the court and so forth, including this one on Chisale. We have long been in this particular process. I think what is critical now is that we are dealing with institutionalized racism led by a country that is playing such a pivotal role in the world economy and world ideas, the USA, and that in the manner that racism has entrenched itself there, not that it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, many other parts of the world it continues to happen, we continue to condemn that, it has almost received support from the higher office, particularly if you follow the statement of President Donald Trump of the US and his posture. It's as if his administration condones what is happening. So it is that form that practically has revived the world movement against racism. And of course, I can also indicate that we work very closely even with the Black Lives Matter. From the DSG knows this, we meet with them we engage with them all the time, particularly on racism in the US. But we're dealing with racism everywhere. And that is why our commitment to deal with this matter, the DSG is right. It is never too late to fight against any form of racism or bigotry. And we should continue to do that as a movement. And I think it is in that regard that if you look at the conduct of Donald Trump, even his posture on WHO, trivializes things, but in the main, his attack on Dr. Tedros, whom we support fully, SSC and the interventions of the WHO in this regard, we have issued many statements in this regard, shows the level of the generation of the political leadership in the White House, because particularly of the role that the US plays in world affairs. There's a veto right in the UN Security Council, so it's not an entity that can be ignored. So an international movement for justice, for reaffirmation of our common humanity, it's important that it should be supported. And we're just highlighting the fact that while we've had valid campaigns, Comrade Becky is right, this is just an addition to our continuous campaign against racism that we are endorsing as the alliance, and we are taking it up at that particular, at a higher level. Tomorrow evening, our leadership, led by President of the ANC, General Secretary of the Communist Party, and the President of COSATU, and all other comrades that have been invited, will then spearhead our nationwide and continent-wide intervention in the fight against racism. Thank you very much.
Comrade Pule, could I just add one small matter before you close? Comrade Pule?
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think that Comrade Sophie is probably correct. Because of our history, we must take more responsibility for fighting against racism throughout the globe. And certainly the issue of the Palestinian people's plight has been top of mind for our international relations work. We do a great deal of work to deal with the issue on the plight of the Palestinians. But more importantly, I think we need to re-establish social activism in South Africa beyond political formations and the liberation movement. It must become ingrained in our psyche, in the youth of our country, that racism is wrong. I think that if we examine social media and the kind of racist remarks that are made about people, and recently comparing Minister Dlamini Zuma to an insect, transforming her face into the face of a monkey, are things that we must take quite seriously, because it means that despite our quest for a non-racial society, we need to do a great deal of work in our own country to liberate the minds of people who have not yet understood that they live in a country that is a non-racial country, and it is never going to change into a country that will not have diversity in it. And I believe that what we can ask is that everybody becomes a partner, and that everybody accepts and understands that if you are silent on racism, you're actually perpetuating it. Thank you, Comrade Pule.
Thanks, DSG. And maybe just convey our thanks to members of the media, the leadership of the Alliance, to have participated in this online briefing. We hope that the media will respond again tomorrow when we launch the campaign at 19 hours, which will be moderated by the Deputy Secretary General, addressed by the President, with a solid group of panelists ranging from the youth of our country, representing the arts, international ambassadors, and all of that. So we'll make sure that we share those details well in time so that the members of the media could be able to prepare themselves to log in and participate, follow through the conversation. Thank you very much for participating. We'll also be distributing the framework, the Alliance framework document, so that we're on the issues that the Alliance is seized with. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Comrade Pule.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Pule. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Alliance Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It went a bit rough.